Hey, what's up? Mixer, it's Big Dudes. Carter, aka your hostess with the mostest here for another episode of Nerf Herder Radio. With me as always is Jason,
What's
aka No
up?
Says I. So, Jason, how's your week been?
That's been good. It's been good. It's been a busy weekend, and it's gonna be a busy rest of the week for me. But it's been good.
Yeah,
Yep.
staying cool in the global warming that we've got going on.
No, hot and sweaty like everybody else. So,
Yeah, ain't that the truth?
so
Well, I mean, welcome everybody back to another episode of Nerf Herder Radio. We're second episode into season 2. If you joined us last week, we've made the transition over to Mixer. We're going to start broadcasting here. Then we'll obviously upload our podcast to our podcast services as our producers have the time to do so. So hopefully get the podcast up before too long, so our listeners out there can stay with us. Plus, if you're listening and you're new to Mixer, then by all means, we'd love to have you come watch the live stream as well. So, without further ado, we're kind of keeping a short show right now. We're not trying to do the hour-long podcast. So, one of the things we wanted to talk about is big news coming out of Hollywood in the fact that Disney is cutting a lot of 20th Century Fox's movies. Have you seen this list that they've got out there?
yeah, I have. It's kind of bummed me out, surprised me a little bit. There was a lot of various, movies and stuff that I saw, and kind of sad about some of them, but can't blame them. I mean, no offense, Fox hasn't been the best job of, from the Marvel content that they have of respecting that medium and providing us good X-Men content at all. So,
Well, yeah.
I mean, I like the Days of Future Past and First Class stuff the most. Age of Apocalypse, Dark Phoenix were terrible. They still can't do a Dark Phoenix movie to save their life.
Yeah.
So, the only thing I think that's been saved is Avatar and Planet of the Apes, which to me is okay. Not so much about Avatar, that was Pocahontas with aliens. But what they're going to do with the next ones, I don't know. But I've always been a fan of Planet of the Apes. From the original, quadrilogy? What was it, Planet of the Apes?
The old Charlton Heston movies?
Yes.
Nice.
Had them all on VHS for the longest time. Roddy McDowell in there. But what was there? It was Planet of the Apes, Beneath the Planet of the Apes,
Dawn of the Planet of the Apes,
Escape the Planet of the Apes.
I don't remember. There's a bunch of them.
There's 4 or 5 of them, and I loved them all. I thought they were great. I don't know. I'm probably one of those rare guys that appreciates those. And when they made the new ones, not the Mark Wahlberg one, that one was awful, but the newer ones with Andy Serkis, I've really enjoyed those a lot.
Yeah, they've been good. I've liked them. My only concern of those is, how do the apes learn to make bullets? They seem to have the market cornered on ammo from the movies, but
they became intelligent, and then I mean, we won't go in. We'll talk about that one on Midlife Crisis. I'll do that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, the mutants. I'd be curious to see what Marvel does with the mutants. I think if it's a reboot, makes perfect sense. Now's a good time to reboot the story, kind of go in a different direction. I mean, how they do it, we'll see. I mean, you could even somehow tie it into the snap or the first snap or the second snap. Who knows? I think the guys over at Marvel are smart enough to figure out how to tie in the mutants.
I think I have a feeling we won't see mutants until the next after. Oh, Fett went down. Fett went down.
Fett went down.
He went to the Sarlacc pit. I think that for me, I bet we won't see an X-Men until the next phase. So we're in phase 4 now, but phase 5.
Yeah.
And I only say that because they got to cast, they got to come up with a story, and they got to introduce them some unique way. I feel like it's not just going to be X-Men. They'll tease them somehow, whether it be in Doctor Strange's crazy, scary world or whatever else. But they'll have 2-3 years to try to get it right. And it might be a lot. It might be a Disney Now or Disney Plus series. It might not go theater release. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Reading through the list, I mean, they talk about Dark Phoenix, how it failed to meet the budget, so the Foxes want to go in a different direction. Some of the other movies, yes, Avatar, Safe, Planet of the Apes. And then one thing that I was kind of surprised to see so high on the list was a Flash Gordon remake, and I loved
Yeah, I
Flash
saw
Gordon. That
that.
movie was, came out, 1980. That was a great kid, great 80s sci-fi movie.
Yep.
Max von Sydow
Is that
playing Ming the
even with the
Merciless,
games?
and it had an awesome soundtrack.
Yes.
But the guy that directed Thor Ragnarok was going to be on the helm. Taika Waititi was going to be the director.
I know. I liked
I
him
thought,
doing when he did Ragnarok.
yeah, Ragnarok was a fun movie. I enjoyed that. So, that one I was kind of surprised. And then, they talked about rebooting the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I don't know. I like that movie. Did you see that?
Yeah,
Sean Connery.
yeah. I mean, any Sean Connery movie I like.
Yeah.
Sean Connery. I really liked Extraordinary Gentlemen. I thought it was really good. I was pretty there was some in here that I'm kind of bummed about. There's Killer Clowns from Outer Space I watched all the time at Halloween as a kid.
Oh, I hated that movie.
The cotton candy cocoons and whatnot. So I kind of bummed about that. I was curious if they could really pull that one off being any good. There's a Ben Affleck one in there. It's a kind of the storytelling of an ex-cop who turned security guard at McDonald's and stole the winning Monopoly tickets during the McDonald's Monopoly game.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I like stuff like that. And then there's a Die Hard prequel they were going to do called McClane, which that you're dancing on some very
that's sacred ground. Oh yeah.
Yeah, you got to do that one right. And then there was a Pinocchio, The Misfortunes of Geppetto, which would probably sounds like it would have been a scary movie. But I am okay with the fact they axed off Assassin's Creed. I like Michael Fassbender, but Assassin's Creed, the movie, based on how they did the video games and how they did the movie, I was left wanting a lot.
I never saw that movie. I never. Let me say, I never saw it start to finish. I think I started it, gave up on it pretty quick into the movie. I just saw the train wreck coming down the tracks and decided not to invest any more time in it.
One last one that I saw in here, it's at the very
Mm-hmm.
bottom of the list. It's not the Sims movie, by the way. I'll post the article link, but I could care less about a Sims movie unless they made it somehow like Truman Showish. Magic the Gathering, card game. From the pre-Pokemon era. I have a stack of cards that are probably hopefully one day worth some money. But they were going to make a movie about that too, which to me would have been interesting depending upon how they do it. Is it just going to be a Game of Thrones type fantasy world, or is this going to be like, what was it, the Pokemon movies and stuff where they have the cards and they come to life? But what piqued my interest more than anything else is there's an animated version that the Russo brothers are working on. So,
okay.
Homeboys that did Endgame and Infinity War, so credible leadership there. So we'll see what happens, but yeah.
So they are still going ahead with that?
Well, the animated one I think is done through a different studio. It's not done through Fox.
Gotcha.
So.
All right. Well, yeah. Obviously, Disney's going to clean house. I hate to see them throw away some of those good titles, but maybe they can find a better way to bring the story together. I think, Flash Gordon needs to be remade. I know that they did a TV show back in the late 90s, if not early 2000s, on Sci-Fi, and it was not good.
I never saw it. I didn't know they did that.
Yeah, it wasn't very, like I said, wasn't very good. You didn't miss much. But yeah, I'm not upset. They, I liked the McAvoy era mutants. I thought those stories have been pretty fun. I haven't seen Dark Phoenix yet. I don't know when I
saw
will.
It, and I wish I could have unseen it.
The one I do want to see, and I was excited about this movie when the trailer first came out, and it's probably came out like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, was New Mutants. And, I mean, it looked like a horror film. I don't know if you saw the trailer for that.
I've seen some stuff about that. Is that still coming out, or is that's not mentioned in this article anywhere?
I have no idea what they're doing with it. I know Maisie Williams was in it, and it looked like a scary movie, like a horror movie, and it was a unique storytelling approach to that. I don't know what, it's still on IMDb. I think it's a straight-to-video release if it's coming out. We'll see.
Oh, here we go. Disney is reportedly unimpressed with the New Mutants.
Yeah, I saw that
7 hours ago, so that sucks. But no offense, Fox just really hasn't carried the properties very well. They just make some money. They just throw the title out there, and they know that people will go see it because of the comic book boom at the time. Fantastic Four. We did that. We've done what 3 of those movies. They're all been terrible.
Yeah.
Chris Evans went from Human Torch to Captain America, and even before that, what was the other one he was in? Was the Assassin Guys or whatever?
Oh, The Losers.
The Losers. He was in that one too. So
I like that movie.
I mean, I didn't think that was a bad movie. I thought that was done pretty well. So
yeah, that was enjoyable.
I who knows? I'm hoping that Disney can kind of come in and swoop some of these up and make them a lot better.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Yep.
All right, one thing I wanted to talk about is I read this article the other day, and everybody has always had this on their mind, and especially as adults, you start to look at cost. When you're a kid, you moved into a house, you didn't really appreciate the time it took, or the materials, or the man hours, the labor going into this. And there's an article on Screen Rant that they come up and they talk about why did it take the Death Star 20 years to build?
Yep.
Did you read this article?
I glanced over it, but I haven't. No, not all the way through it. No.
I mean, I'll kind of give you some of the highlights. So, it says the initial plans were recovered from the Separatists in Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, and it was the original Death Star was being built over the skies of Geonosis. So, as far as the time, obviously Anakin was still Anakin, and Vader hadn't become Vader yet, or they hadn't started to rule the galaxy. And so you try to tie in Rogue One and Krennic and Galen Erso and all those stories, and that's obviously taking place kind of at the same time. Galen building the Death Star as the Clone Wars and all this stuff, probably from the precursors. But they talk about the Death Star program demanded the bulk of the entire galaxy's resources. So Imagine all of the steel and plumbing and electrical and copper wire, and I mean all of the, and Clerks did a funny movie about, did a funny line about a guy, a janitor or a plumber working on the Death Star when it blows up. I mean, he took a job and was just out there trying to make a living installing toilets on the Death Star, and it's unfortunate that he got blown up in that attack. But that's, you start to think about that stuff. And then they said so demanded bulk of the galaxy's resources, and it also when the Empire was placing an ever increasing demand on these resources, with Palpatine pushing the entire armada out into space, the cruisers, star destroyers, TIE fighters, etc. So it says the project was constantly competing with other priorities. Then what else? There's a couple other points. Palpatine's whole approach to government didn't help either, and Emperor enjoyed playing people against one another, so he was probably playing a game of chess with Krennic and everyone developing and working on the Death Star. And then one thing I thought was kind of funny is it said Darth Vader himself seemed to have been almost jealous of the Death Star, envying the fact it would supersede him as the Empire's greatest weapon.
Yeah, I saw that.
They mentioned that in the comic book. He took steps to sabotage the construction.
Yep.
Darth Vader, and there's a lot of backstory to Vader, and I think your brother shared it on the podcast, that the Emperor was always just testing Vader and Vader's loyalty and all that stuff. So it's an interesting read. I
thought what was interesting looking at it is just in the beginning of the article, we see in Attack of the Clones when they're on the Battle of Geonosis, there's the Death Star planes floating out there, right?
Yeah.
And what happened is what it's saying here is before the Empire was founded by Palpatine, the plans were recovered from the Separatists, and he was able to argue, and basically off camera in books, that the Separatists were working on their own Death Star and created this phantom arms race. So the reason we have the Empire and all this power was because of manipulation, of course. But just when you think about it on that level, and it's not just him, behind the scenes moving these people to do all this other stuff to cause this uprising that we have to fight it. It was, well, they're also got plans and they're making this ultimate weapon. We need to make our own ultimate weapon and all this other stuff. And there's some other stuff too about, we can talk about it next week, but about one of these Star Destroyers that might be in the next, Rise of Skywalker movie. And there's actually a group of original stormtroopers that stay loyal to the Empire and the Sith, and not.
Are those the red Sith troopers?
Yeah, the red Sith troopers, and they're not. They're not to the First Order, so it should be interesting.
All right, spoiler
up, Jake?
territory.
Thanks for joining us, Jake.
Anyway, you go back and you remember that Battle of Geonosis, and even episode 1, the Trade Federation, their cruisers kind of have a big dome-like structure in the middle of that ring, and even you see in the Battle of Geonosis those things taken off. So, I mean, it wouldn't be too hard for Palpatine to make it look like there was something there when there really wasn't. So, anyway, it's an interesting story. Always good stuff out there amidst all of the rumors and fan theories and everything about Episode 9. It's always fun to read. Read something interesting. So.
Yep. Oops, I'm messing up and clicking things. Sorry.
What are you doing?
I sneezed, I guess, on my hand. I don't know.
Okay.
Sorry, everybody.
All right. Moving on. One of the things Jason and I like to do is we like to play video games. We each have our favorites. You've been a follower of the podcast. There's no mystery what my favorite game is. Jason kind of is a fence rider to some degree. He plays some games and can't get into others. But one of the cool things I'm really excited about is Bungie, and Bungie's the company that develops and produces and now distributes the Destiny games. Is Bungie announced cross-save at their last big event. And what that means is now you can save your progress from Xbox One to PlayStation 4 and to PC. So, Bungie came up with the idea we want our customers to be able to play the game where they want, how they want, etc., etc. But cross-play has always been the goal or the dream of most video gamers. The ability to play Madden on my Xbox with you on your PlayStation and vice versa.
Yeah.
This does a great job of balancing that to some degree. I don't think we're ever going to get cross-save or cross-play, at least not.
I thought they announced cross-play.
No.
I thought they did though, because what's the point in playing on PC? If you can't, are you just jumping around between playing with your friends on different devices? That kind of stinks.
Yes. Well,
I thought they were introducing cross-play.
No, it's cross-save.
Yeah.
So cross-play, everyone talks about how the unfair advantage of PCs, mouse and keyboard would have to console, the controller. So no, they're not doing cross-play, but they're doing cross-save, to where your profile can follow you across devices. Guys like you and I that have invested in PC gaming as well as console gaming, this is huge for us because now our guy that we've been building for 5+ years can follow us over to the PC. Plus, they've announced what's called New Light.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
On the PC, which is they're giving everybody the opportunity to play Destiny for free up into the Forsaken expansion, which came out about a year ago. So you're going to get everything for free, the vanilla campaign and everything. And then if you want to, there's a new update coming out called Shadowkeep. You buy that for your console, console choice, and you have that, and then you have to buy it again for your PC. They're not allowing that to follow. But it's a great mechanism to get people invested in the game that have never played the game, and maybe they will go out and pay the upgrade. Or guys that want to play it on multiple platforms now can sync their accounts or their profiles and have that ability.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. I float around between games like you're saying. Right now, I've been going back and playing some of the Final Fantasy games. I beat Final Fantasy VII for the first time after 20 years. Very disappointed in the final battle. There are other battles that took place in that game that were more challenging.
Yeah.
But I'm on 15 now. I really like the story. There's a great movie tie-in to it as well. Surprisingly,
which one was the movie that came out back?
So there's been 4, 5 movies. It depends upon how you break it up. There's been a couple of mini-series, TV series, and whatnot, but the first CG movie was Final Fantasy Spirits Within, and then they had a couple different animated ones. One was a 4-part movie that took place after Final Fantasy V, I think, and then they did another one which kind of just danced around different. It was its own universe, but it pulled characters like they've always done between the different game universes and whatnot. And then Final Fantasy VII, the game came out, and then, man, somewhere in the early 2000s, they did Advent Children, which was a continuation of the Final Fantasy VII story. And then the new game that came out, that was Final Fantasy 15. They did a prequel movie called Kingsglaive that had what's his face from Breaking Bad, Jesse. He was the main voiceover, and also had Lena Headey in it and stuff. So Aaron Paul, Paul, Lena Headey, and Ned Stark. Oh my gosh, I can't think of his name. Sean Bean. He dies in every movie he's in.
Yeah.
So that was kind of that for me. But I've liked Destiny 2. However, with it just over time, probably a lot of it is the group we were playing with kind of got stale for a little bit, and it got a little too grindy for me. I enjoy playing with everybody. I just need to get back into it. But I honestly like playing on PC a lot now. So if it's not on PC, I'm not playing. I've got an Xbox over here. It just collects dust. Most of the time, my kids play Roblox on it, and I'm over here playing something else. And they watch me, and I help them out. So.
Yeah.
But I'm excited about it. To me, I can bring my character over. I'll pay the money on Steam, and I can play the game. So I'm pretty pumped about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a start. I mean, I'm with you. It's like I wouldn't mind the 60 FPS. I mean, Jake mentioned it on our chat that he'll definitely try the new light on PC with the 60 FPS. So I think taking advantage of the hardware, a lot of players are going to be excited about. Does that mean our whole clan's going to make a transition and buy PCs and all that? Probably not. So there's probably going to be a mix. I know our buddy Neon said he's not going to come over. He's going to stay on console. But I don't know.
You're looking to be a warlock in the PC version, right? You're gonna be a
I
little
don't
space
know.
wizard.
That's what I'm thinking about it. Our buddy Kinetic is a warlock, and I was a floaty warlock. I was giving him a hard time. I'm thinking about it. We'll see.
When I played Destiny 1, I was a warlock in the game. And then you kind of convinced me to create a Titan, and I created a Hunter anyway. And I like the Hunter, a little different play style for me. I'm definitely much more of a aggressive in-your-face play style, so the Titan really fit me really well, especially when you had Hulk Smash and some other stuff. But they kind of changed it up a little bit, and I don't mind playing as a Hunter because you're a little more agile, I feel like, and you're more of an ad reducer than you are a brawler on the big guy, so I like that. That's kind of my play style right now, so...
Yeah,
I'll probably just bring my character over and enjoy it and just try to get leveled up.
Okay. Speaking of video games, kind of go in a different direction here. Did you see the article that Walmart released that they're going to pull a lot of the violent games off their shelves?
Well, they're not pulling the games. They're pulling violent game displays. Video game displays. So this is one of those things. I mean, gosh, I remember for the longest time, even back on PlayStation 1, violent video games create violent behaviors and whatnot. And I thought it was very surprising. The CEO of Epic kind of came out and agreed with that statement. But there's a lot of data that kind of backs up the claim that it doesn't. But at the same time, this is one of those things that we won't get into politics because that's not what we want to talk about ever. But for me, it's... Do video games that have conflict orientation, like Call of Duty, like Grand Theft Auto, can they expose somebody of a younger age to something they probably shouldn't be seeing at that time? Yes. 100%. I mean, if my 10-year-old daughter goes and plays Grand Theft Auto 3 or Grand Theft Auto 5, she's going to see a whole lot of stuff she probably shouldn't be seeing. I mean, I remember playing Grand Theft Auto 3 on PS2, and you could pick up prostitutes, and the car would rock, and your health would restore. You knew what's going on. Just different stuff like that. You're exposing people to things. Now, where does the responsibility lie to manage that? I worked at a GameStop for a long time, and I probably was overly...
It's ma'am. It's ma'am.
Sorry. Oh, Lord. But it was one of those things I was probably overly... pushy about or cognizant of when little, some mom would come in and little kid wants, Grand Theft Auto 3, and I'm like, now you do realize it's rated M. They're like, well, he's mature. I'm Like, that's not what the rating means, because they'd get the M game, but they wouldn't get the T game because he wasn't a teenager. They would,
Right.
you know, there's this very poor understanding of some of that. And I mean, I know that we can put ESRB rating signs up and all that other stuff, but at what point do we have to say, hey, as a parent or as the retailer, when do we have to say it's our responsibility? It's their on the onus. It's not that they're culpable in some way or anything like that, but who's responsible to making sure that the game is going to the hands of the right person, right?
Well, I don't think that video games, and especially first person shooters and all that, breed violence. I do think that art imitates life, imitating art. If kids grow up, and I mean, I grew up in the old console era video games, and the stand-up consoles lost a lot of allowance to the arcades. But I played pinball, and I played racing games, and I played Street Fighter, and all that. I mean, so you played the whole gambit of games. No, did I never want to go out and do throw fireballs and do super uppercuts at people in an alley or anything like that. But I think that to some degree, people do get wrapped up in this outlet and can become desensitized to it, where they don't have a value on human life. If that's your life, if your life is Fortnite, and you come home and you play Fortnite for 8 hours a day, and you make it all the way up to the final round, and you get you've invested this time and energy and just passion into it, and then you get killed by tree falling on you or something like that, you are going to have a negative reaction to that.
Yeah.
Now,
well,
does that mean you're going to go shoot up a school? No, but you are going to take out some frustration.
Now, let me ask you this, though. I mean, you bring up a good point. I mean, we all hear about rage quitting. Well, we've all gotten frustrated, and you set the controller down. But you hear these crazy stories of, parents took the Xbox away or smashed the Xbox, and a kid flips out, or I mean, just playing video games in general now. Whether it's an FPS like Apex on PC or Xbox or whatever it is, I don't think video games breed violence, but I think that I think because there's no face-to-face interaction. I mean, you and I are talking to a PC, and there's a camera up there, so there is a kind of pseudo face-to-face happening here, but there's nothing there. It's just an avatar. It's a person running around. We're behind a microphone. We're miles away or millions of miles away from each other, hundreds of miles, whatever you want to say. And so we feel like we can say whatever we want to these people. And there's no class or tact anymore in online gaming, I feel like, for the most part. Our
really
group,
toxic.
It's very toxic wherever you go. I think that, the raid group that we've got, it's a group of grown men. And we kid around and make jokes with each other and stuff, but we're respectful, we're supportive, we encourage each other, we help each other out. We'll get into that with Tip of the Week here in a minute. But I do think that there is a issue within the gaming world that and I think Jake brings it up in chat. A lot of its parents, letting the video games or the TV and the YouTube raise their kids. Mm-hmm. And it's because we're too busy. We're all too busy. We got to have... and you can tie it back to income or taxes or all these other things, but we're all so busy trying to make that extra dollar so we can have all these other things or just to survive, and we end up neglecting kids. But where does the responsibility lie? At the end of the day, it has to come from a parent, I feel like. But also,
I agree.
As a parent, I have to protect my kids from themselves with content filters and stuff like that. So at one point, when does the store have to protect the parents from themselves from making bad decisions, or when does the game company have to do it, or you get into the politics side of it with government? Where do you draw that line and just say, you know what, you're a terrible person and that's where this ends, but we have to stop it somewhere, right? Yeah,
but I think ultimately personal responsibility has to play a part in it. So
agreed. But what's the consequence? There's no consequence for giving my 10-year-old or younger kids Grand Theft Auto 5.
No, there's not.
And that's where the issue lies, I think, a lot of times. If I touch a stove and burn my hand, I'm going to learn the consequence. Jeff Foxworthy says it best. Hurt, didn't it? Won't do that no more.
Yeah.
So, except for the light socket. I've took a penny in at least 3 or 4 times before I quit doing that as a kid.
Never learned your lesson, huh?
Nope, I was kind of hard headed.
Mm.
So.
Well, I mean, I think we can talk about this till.
Oh, we could talk about this all day and every day until we're blue in the face.
We're trying to keep the show under 30 minutes, so let's go ahead and move over to our tip of the week.
Yeah. So, you and I talked earlier. I've got two this week I wanted to share. One of them, ironically, ties into online shopping, and whether it be through Amazon or wherever else, and kind of cool app. I thought it was kind of gimmicky, but I liked it. And it's called Honey. Not like what you get from bees, but it does provide some goodness to you. And anytime you're online shopping, you can install this app on your browser on your PC. I don't think it has a mobile version yet. But when I'm on Amazon and I put stuff in my cart before I buy it, it scans all the items in my cart, and it might be like, hey, you can get this $5 cheaper, $6 cheaper. Jake uses it. He has it on his plugin for Chrome. I know it's on Edge. It's on Firefox as well. But I talked a while back about doing Loot Crate, and I've kind of been wishy-washy on it because of some of their quality of service, and got an interesting story about that. We can talk about next week with them. But Loot Crate usually is $20 a month. Well, I would sign up for a month, use the Honey app, and I'd get like 50% off, cancel it, then sign up for another month again within the same window and get another 50% off and rinse and repeat.
I wonder why they're filing for Chapter 11.
I was going to say, it's no wonder they filed for Chapter 11. It's because of people like me in that app. But, I mean, if you can exploit the system and there's nothing against it to stop you, and I save money, why wouldn't I do it? I mean, it works on all sorts of stuff. So I think it's a good one out there for people to use. Save you a couple bucks, especially if you're an Amazon shopper. Worth kind of digging into.
Yeah. Well, our other Turner is bad for business. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other tip of the week, this one's kind of fun. It came to us from one of the guys we play video games with, and he hit up the nerds and the nerdery here in our Discord server, and he was having some problems with his home internet. Buddy Kinetic. He turned me on to one of these power over Ethernet adapters, which I've got using now in my setup. But he was having bad times, and so he posted something up in the Discord, and then you and Jake here in the chat, jumped in and helped solve this guy's problems, and go ahead and tell the story. I'm not too familiar with Orbi and all that stuff, so go ahead and talk about that.
Story of the day here is a couple of things. If your router in your house is probably 3 years or older, and especially if you've got 3 or 4 devices streaming constantly. In my house, it's a little different. It's everything streaming. We don't pay for cable, so I'm very reliant on internet. And one of the things is if you have an old Linksys router, one of these old routers that just BG and N, and you're gonna have some areas in your house you can't reach, or it's gonna be slow or performance wise, and so. Kinetic was bringing this up to us, and he's like, hey, I'm having all sorts of issues. What's the kind of router are you guys using? And I've got a Netgear Orbi, kind of similar to the one we got on the screen here. And it's a mesh Wi-Fi system. And if you don't know what that is, essentially is instead of you having a wireless router and then a repeater, which is basically bouncing the signal off, but you have 2 separate wireless networks you have to connect to, this is a mesh Wi-Fi. Mesh Wi-Fi. There we go. And essentially, they both are broadcasting the same wireless information network, and it's just over a bigger space of area, and it's seamless. So whether I'm bouncing between these different satellites or wherever else, I'm on the same network, and I'm getting the same performance. So when Kinetic did this, one of the things he noticed is his network within his house was a lot faster. Newer technologies, how they all work, and it's seamless to do, and it's really easy. The next thing he had was he called his cable provider, and found out because he was using the cable company's modem, they could see every device he had connected on his network. And per the end-user license agreement with his provider, they could throttle his internet back based off the number of devices connected. Switched over to the Orbi router, all they see is one device, so under their EULA, they have to give him his full internet connection now. So instead of him only getting like 20 megabits per second, he's now getting 100. So he's getting a better, higher speeds, higher number means faster downloads, things like that. So when you're streaming and consuming all that information, it just makes it run quicker and you get better quality and a video and things like that. I actually called my provider today because I was going to cancel some stuff, and they're like, "Oh, we got a promotion, $20 cheaper," which would have been what I was going to pay when I canceled everything, without this. And they're like, "Oh, and we'll double your internet speed." So I went from 100 to 200 to 400 meg download. My upload's still the same, but I mean, that's pretty awesome, right? So other tip would be call your providers every now and then, be like, "Hey, my internet's kind of running janky. You got anything new?" You could have an old modem, some of that other stuff, and they'll help you out with it. But take the time, take the money, buy you a decent router. You don't have to buy the Orbi; they're super expensive. There are some decent ones out there. If you go to wirecutter.com and search for wireless routers, usually they have like a TP-Link one that's like $79. It's for your average home user, works great, and it's newer and gets you better performance. And obviously you're not paying that $5 or $20 a month, whatever it might be, from your provider to lease theirs, and you save some money.
Okay.
So,
well, that's pretty cool. It's always good tips. So yeah, I mean, I like that we were able to help somebody we know.
Yep.
Guy hit us up in our Discord server and asked some questions and kind of solved these problems. He was showing us his speed test earlier today, and yeah, it looks like he's loving life over there at the Kinetic household. So,
the last thing I point out about it too is they got a nice little app. I'll try to show it on my phone here. Woo. It works really well too. Cool thing about this too, for those who don't know, is certain router manufacturers now are including with their routers. Netgear does it with some of theirs. Is content filtering and some things like that, so that I've got kids. I want to restrict their internet access, whether it be for chores, bedtimes, punishment, whatever it might be. I can go in with that app and hit pause, and it pause all that. And I know a lot of ISPs provide that through their modems anyway. Mm-hmm. So there's lots of other stuff. Hey, what's up, Coot? Thanks for joining us, man. So there's lots of different other benefits outside of just faster internet, managing of your home network, controlling content, blocking filters and stuff like that can be integrated as well. So always worth looking into and investing into.
Cool. Yeah, I was looking around on my I'm with AT&T, so I was looking at my subscription, and I'm always leery to go in and ask them for the upgrade because we're gonna upgrade your internet for $20 a month, and then I'll never call it back up to cancel.
Yeah,
etc. etc. So anyway,
I typically program. I'm that nerd so I'll literally I get off the phone and I literally went on my calendar. It's like a year from now, call to cancel.
Yeah.
So.
I did set a reminder. I told Siri, remind me to cancel CBS All Access. So that worked out for me. So
yeah, I canceled HBO Now after Game of Thrones. So
yeah,
but yeah.
Well, cool, man. Well, I think that wraps up this episode. We appreciate Jake and Coot stopping by in the chat and hanging out with us tonight. We do this every Tuesday at 9:30 to 10-ish. Ran a little long tonight, but then on Thursdays we do the Midlife Crisis matinee where we review movies. I don't know what we got on the agenda for Thursday nights. If there's anything in particular you want us to watch or talk about up front. If not, we'll just keep everybody in the dark till Thursday.
I think we should do a Shroud of Mystery unless somebody's got any suggestions for us. Unless Jake or Coot, a.k.a. Horn, a.k.a. we call him who else? I don't know what else we call the guy. If they've got any suggestions for us. But I've got some movies I've been watching and reviewing for a while now. I can throw up there. Just depends what you want to do. Okay.
Well, all right. Well, I think that wraps up this episode. So, we appreciate everyone tuning in tonight. Hope everyone's making their way to follow us on Mixer. We still do have our Facebook pages and Twitter, so follow us on social network, Facebook, Twitter. Leave us comments, feedback, and we appreciate all the fan interaction. So, for Jason, this Carter, and we thank you guys for tuning in tonight. And as they say in the Star Wars universe, may the Force be with you.
Peace.